Metropolitan Police Constable KO'd after being thrown against a wall. Neighbourhood safety wardens, or as I like to call them, Jobsworths, are given more powers to demand your name and address. Kent Police Constable who described searching women as good fun, dismissed. And did you know that being naked in public is not against the law? South Wales Police issue words of advice to a man in his birthday suit out for a jog. This and more coming up. And don't forget, these reports are daily, Monday to Friday. Please remember to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you appreciate the work I do and understand that these topics result in little to no YouTube monetization, please consider joining the channel Patreon for as little as just £3 per month if you can, to help me continue providing this content. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies, and of course in betweeners. My name's Dan and welcome back to another PAP Reports. It is Thursday the 20th of August 2020. The Metropolitan Police have condemned the actions of a man in East London who, whilst in the process of being detained by police, allegedly threw a police constable against a wall, knocking him out. Just before 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 18th of August, police were called to the scene of reports of a man being verbally abusive and throwing glasses at a pub in Hackney. Police have said that during the arrest the constable was assaulted and thrown against a wall, which resulted in him losing consciousness after hitting his head. He was taken to hospital for treatment to a boo-boo, but his injuries are not life-threatening. Another police constable at the scene is said to have used pava spray on the man, enabling them to detain him before more police arrived. Because let's face it, police love nothing more than when they can all get involved in detaining someone. A 46-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of criminal damage and assaulting a police officer, and at the time of this remained in custody. Senior police obviously used this incident to their advantage, as Marcus Barnett, BCU commander for Hackney and Tower Hamlets, said, "This is another shocking and disgraceful example of the dangers faced by officers who, day in, day out, do their utmost to keep Londoners safe. It is important to remember that police officers are ordinary people who come into work every day not knowing what they will face, and they deserve our support. My thoughts are with the injured officer and his family." Okay, so first of all, there are far more examples of the public being assaulted by police than police being assaulted by the public. Now, I'm not for one moment condoning assault on anyone, but when people are faced with police who don't know how to connect with the public and build a rapport, and instead immediately go for their weapons, which in almost all cases they do, then you're going to find that people get afraid of what's going to happen, and so natural instinct is to protect yourself. You know what? Maybe if the police wore the proper uniform, the uniform that was respected, which included a helmet, then this might not have happened. The police aren't paramilitary, and they need to remember that. Start respecting the uniform you put on properly, and the public may start respecting it too. Now, a separate but related report about how Scotland Yard has revealed that between May and July, they allegedly recorded 2,027 assaults on police, which is said to be an increase of more than a third over the past 3 months, and in the same period last year, which saw 1,479 assaults. Senior police have blamed the rise in assaults on police raids of illegal raves over lockdown, spitting and violence during protests. Although they conveniently left out the coughing assaults, which have seen a fair number of people locked up or fined for. What a surprise. Data shows that in the 12 months from August 2019, 6,668 police were attacked, a 16% rise in the previous year, 42% of who were said to have been injured. Although they've not stated what the injuries were, because it could have been a stubbed toe, a graze to the knee, or a boo-boo on their feelings. The Met say they have seen a rise in the monthly number of assaults between June 2019 and April 2020. The average per month was 510, but there were 676 in May, 717 in June, and 634 in July. Which again kind of makes sense, as the police were on a mission over the lockdown to enforce guidance rather than law, and attempting to detain someone over guidance is not exactly lawful. Therefore, of course, people are going to resist it, which results in the police going hands-on, and the suspected guidance breaker could simply be done for assault for pulling away, because assault on emergency worker goes hand in hand with resisting arrest, even an unlawful one. Now, again, I do not agree with assault on anyone, whether that's public versus police or police versus public. But when you go around bullying people, you are inevitably going to come across people that won't take that bullying from anyone. I was always told growing up that there's always someone bigger and tougher. And I think the police seem to forget that. The uniform does not command respect. It once did because the people wearing it failed to respect it for what it stands for. Over the past couple of weeks, we've heard about the government spending and wasting £250 million on unusable face masks from Ayanda Capital, an online investment company, and more recently, £750,000 COVID test kits supplied by Randox, a diagnostics company, which all seems a little bit odd, as you wouldn't ask Walkers or Starbucks to supply X-ray machines. Not only would they have no idea about the products, the fact that X-ray machines use radiation could make them dangerous. So why are the government spending large amounts on products from companies that do not specialise in that particular field? Well, an investigation by Huffington Post is said to have revealed that the government have made some other questionable decisions with taxpayers' money during the COVID pandemic. The Huffington Post has said that we found that PPE contracts worth £186 million, the second largest amount spent with any PPE supplier, went to UK logistics firm Uniserve Limited, whose multi-millionaire owner is listed as a speaker for the influential pro-Brexit lobby group Prosperity UK. Other speakers listed on the site include Chancellor Rishi Sunak and Cabinet Minister Michael Gove. Another two large PPE contracts worth £49 million in total went to a company, Inisha Ventures Limited, with assets of only £100 and Companies House listed as dormant, which is very bad, as a dormant company cannot carry on any kind of trading activity or receive any form of income, which includes buying or selling goods and services. Of the 10 companies that were handed the highest value deals to supply the government with PPE, they found that 5 had no apparent record of procuring PPE previously. One firm told Huffington Post its plan to manufacture face masks in the UK for as little as 10p a unit was turned down by government, despite its offer to make 75 million masks a month at no profit at the point where the NHS needed PPE at its most. Smaller UK testing companies also told Huffington Post that the process unfairly excluded them from winning orders and may have deprived the UK of vital test kits at the peak of the pandemic. Huffington Post said they found a consultancy firm, KPMG, was paid almost £1 million for 3 months' work on One Nightingale Hospital in Harrogate. This is the first time any information has come into the public domain about spending with top consultancy firms over the Nightingales. The government and NHS has faced criticism for its secrecy over the issue. Now, I don't think I need to say that this information doesn't necessarily mean the companies involved have done anything wrong and any wrongdoing themselves. Legal statement to protect my arse. But it seems highly suspicious that government officials are involved with some of the companies, and it is illegal for a company to trade when dormant. The information revealed raises questions, obviously, about how the government made their decisions on which companies should be appointed as suppliers, and under Regulation 32 powers, put in place under the emergency COVID powers, the government don't have to put contracts out to tender for companies to bid on, due to the need to appoint suppliers with urgency, meaning that the government is under little scrutiny as to how and where they're spending our taxes. But it appears that the government have failed in almost every scenario to achieve a balance between the best value for money and the best quality products. MP Rosie Cooper, who sits on the Health and Social Care Committee, has said there must be an inquiry into the way government has handled the crisis and into the way public money has been spent. It's scandalous and shocking that eye-watering sums of money appear to have been spent with companies that don't have a track record in this field, such as PPE and test and trace. Disgracefully, companies with experience were ignored, and government needs to explain how nearly £50 million can be spent with a dormant company. Who authorised that and why? Why are smaller testing companies ignored while contracts were placed with large companies who failed to deliver? Who took each decision and why needs to be made public? She said taxpayers needed answers, adding it's their money and they're likely to be paying for these decisions for many years to come. A government spokesperson said proper due diligence was carried out for the contracts and collaborations with the commercial sector had strengthened the pandemic response and people's pockets, no doubt. As a result of public and private sector organisations working together at pace, we were able to protect our NHS and strengthen our response to this unprecedented global pandemic, he said. But did it though? I mean, there was never really an influx of COVID patients overwhelming the NHS, and you might say that's because of what the government did. However, the same effect could have been achieved easily had hospitals simply advised everyone who attended that they could only deal with emergencies. 5 of the 10 PPE suppliers with whom the government spent the most money, 709 million in total, were companies that had no apparent background in supplying PPE. One of the firms was a Minster-based logistics and global trade management company, Uniserve Limited, which won 5 contracts in April worth 186 million, the second highest amount paid to any one company for PPE. And the contracts were to supply gowns, gloves, aprons, face masks, face shields and protective goggles. However, in 2018, the same firm was appointed as a UK government advisor on tech and customs, according to his website, and its owner and founder, Ian Liddell, is listed as a speaker for the influential pro-Brexit lobby group Prosperity UK, which is linked to a number of leading Brexiteer MPs. Initia Ventures Limited, which is listed as having assets of only £100 and in January 2020 was marked as dormant on Companies House, has no website for the company and is registered at the address of their accountants in Finchley, North London. Despite the firm having no apparent trading history or background supplying PPE, Department for Health and Social Care awarded it one contract. The Department for Health and Social Care awarded it one contract for isolation suits worth 32.6 million on April the 19th at the peak of the pandemic, and then another for 16.3 million 2 days later. Now, I don't know about you, but I said it recently about Randox, where someone told me there are links between the company and government officials. It all seems like a very cleverly disguised way of people being sorted out by their friends in high places under the guise of a health emergency. It appears to me that this is something that does warrant further investigation and people need to explain their actions, because a lot of this money, which has clearly been wasted, could have been put back into the economy and the pockets of those who are actually suffering, and not those who simply feel they can mug off the public by stealing money from them in their time of most need. In September 2002, the Police Community Support Officer scheme started and PCSOs were first recruited by the Metropolitan Police. Most PCSOs' day-to-day duties usually include high visibility patrolling, tackling antisocial behaviour, dealing with minor offences, crowd control and directing traffic at public events, helping direct traffic at roadblocks or scenes of accidents, gathering criminal intelligence and supporting frontline policing, with their powers specifically limited to maintain the distinction between them and real police. Well, now police are hiring and giving members of the public powers to abuse other members of the public with too. Middlesbrough have neighbourhood safety wardens, in other words police grasses, who will call the police and report anything they don't like. Roles mainly filled by busybodies and jobsworths and no doubt foul police. But now these street wardens have actually been given powers. There are currently around 50 neighbourhood safety wardens in the area who have now been delegated powers by Cleveland Chief Constable Richard Lewis. And this sounds a bit like the Wild West, when they simply deputised anyone in order to get a posse together to chase down and hang someone for cattle rustling. But worryingly, it's apparently made it a criminal offence to not give your details to these people when asked. I'm going to be looking for the legislation on this. As accredited or not, they are still not police, and even the police can't demand your details without justifiable cause. These neighbourhood safety wardens' powers will include the power to issue fixed penalty notices for disorder, fixed penalty notices for cycling on the footpath, fixed penalty notices for graffiti and fly posting, the power to require giving of name and address, the power to deal with people begging, the power to require name and address for antisocial behaviour, the power to require persons aged under 18 to surrender alcohol, the power to seize tobacco from a person under 16, and the power to stop cycles. Andy Preston, Mayor of Middlesbrough, said, "Our neighbourhood safety wardens are here first and foremost to help people, but will not shy away when they need to intervene on bad behaviour. These extra powers will give them the ability and confidence to tackle any unruly or loutish stuff going on, and I hope the message gets out to anyone who would misbehave in our communities that we will step in." I'd like to thank Richard Lewis for giving these added powers to the wardens. I think he's doing a great job as Chief Constable, and if the police and the council can stick together, I think we can make Middlesbrough streets a lot safer. Cleveland Police's Community Safety Accreditation Scheme certificate lasts for an initial 12 months, and all of Middlesbrough's wardens are said to have passed their non-police personal vetting for people working with the police who are not constables. Now, this is something I'll definitely be looking into, but I simply can't see how a member of the public, which is effectively what they are, can be allowed to demand people's details, and from the looks of it, without reasonable cause. If there is anyone out there that knows anything about this scheme, please do get in touch with me at policeabusingpowers@gmail.com. South Wales Police were called to reports of a naked man running around a park on Tuesday the 18th of August by concerned members of the public. South Wales Police said they responded to reports of a naked man seen in the west of the city. One sighting happened at around 6:20 p.m. on Tuesday, August the 18th, at popular Singleton Park. One person said they saw a middle-aged man, minus his clothes, in the stream near Bryan Mill Lane. Police said they received a second report of a sighting of a naked man at around 6:25 p.m. on Tuesday in the Sketty area. A spokeswoman for South Wales Police said we were called at around 6:50 yesterday to a report of a sighting of a man in the Singleton Park which had happened 30 minutes prior to them calling us. We received a further call of a naked man at around 6:25 in Sketty. A possible suspect was identified and given words of advice. Now, the reason I've added this to this report is because it's not actually illegal to be naked in public. You might be surprised to hear that, but of course the police love nothing more than to flex their muscles and give people words of advice. You see, sunbathing, walking, cycling, swimming, gardening, even home maintenance in the nod is perfectly lawful. In fact, the police's own guidance on it says, if they are just being naked in public, it will be a lawful activity. Explain to the caller that no offences are being committed and that no police action is necessary. Now, obviously, if you're flashing people, with intent to shock or alarm, then that's a completely different matter. But just letting it all hang out whilst you're out for a stroll cannot be deemed as disorderly, disturbed or sexual behaviour. Isn't that good to know? Now you don't have to worry about those white bits this summer. A Kent Police Constable, PC William Pope, has been sacked from the force after sending unprofessional messages and photos on WhatsApp. In messages sent to the WhatsApp group, he described searching women as good fun, called a vulnerable suspect an albino tranny, mocked a dementia sufferer, shared pictures from crime scenes, sent a selfie pretending to be smoking cannabis at a drugs farm, which to be fair would probably have been quite funny. And on another occasion, after a car went over a cliff following a police chase in Ramsgate, he shared an article about the incident stating, well, that pursuit went well. The string of unprofessional and troubling messages sent over the course of 8 months has seen Pope dismissed after his gross misconduct hearing, where he admitted his actions were naive and silly. 11 of the 18 allegations against Pope were proven at a 2-day hearing at Kent Police Headquarters this week. The panel was told that PC Pope first started sending the posts in the summer of 2018 when he had just joined the Force's Canterbury unit and was on probation. None of the recipients of the WhatsApp messages were fellow police officers, and confidential information has been shared with the group's members numerous times. In one of the early messages sent in July 2018, PC Pope wrote in the group, "Done searching females too. Dirty bitches hiding them under their boobs. Good fun searching." In February last year, when at a cannabis factory, he sent a photo of himself in uniform from the crime scene, mimicking smoking a joint, saying, "Getting high ASF," and "I got munchies. You guys on later, heading home stoned now." Speaking at the hearing before the panel deliberated on his punishment, Pope said he was sorry for his actions. He said, "This is a job that I love and really passionately enjoy it." He said, "I've regretted what I did every day for the last 13 months and I've treated every day as my last, as I enjoy what I do. I'm really sorry to the whole of Kent Police that I've brought this upon them." Pope's WhatsApp messages were discovered when another member of the chat group had his phone searched as part of a separate criminal investigation. PC Pope later enrolled on a social media course, but his actions were deemed so severe that dismissal was the only option. Detective Chief Inspector Keith Roberts welcomed the probe and criticised the former constable's actions. He said PC Pope chose to post a series of misjudged and inappropriate messages to people on a private social media group, he said. "The public has every right to expect all Kent Police officers and staff adhere to the highest standards of professionalism and his conduct fell well short of what was expected of him. It is entirely appropriate that he has been held to account and put before an independent chair who has determined a proportionate course of action. Now, I mentioned recently about Andrew's law, a ploy to give the police a higher status than the public by dishing out harsher sentences to members of the public who are deemed to have assaulted police, whereas the police doing everything they can to not be held accountable for assaulting us. This was all in light of the 3 boys who were involved in PC Andrew Harper's death, who were sentenced recently following a trial at the Old Bailey. Albert Bowers and Jesse Cole, who were with Henry Long when Henry Long sped off with Andrew Harper in tow after PC Harper had accidentally got caught up in a tow rope trailing from the back of the vehicle. 19-year-old Long was sentenced to 16 years, while passengers Bowers and Cole, both 18 years of age, were sentenced to 13 years each. Well, now Albert Bowers and Jesse Cole are seeking permission to challenge their convictions and sentences. PC Harper's mother said, "We've only just come through the first anniversary of Andrew's death. It's been the most painful year of my life, and the trial was absolutely gruelling. We clearly didn't get the justice that we all felt that we deserved, but this application to appeal both conviction and sentence is a further kick in the stomach." The problem is, what someone with a personal interest in the sentence feels that the other person deserves is not necessarily what they should get. I think people who fiddle with youngsters should be hung up, but that's my opinion and doesn't reflect the law. She continued, "We will obviously have to leave it up to the judicial system, but I'd like to think that I do not live in a country where people can be involved in taking a life whilst committing a crime and be allowed to walk away from it and serve anything other than a lengthy custodial sentence." Earlier in August, the Attorney General's office confirmed that it had been asked to review sentences after claims that they were too lenient, which now seems to set the stage for a bit of a battle. I mean, do you think that their sentences, 13 years apiece, for being in the vehicle, were too lenient or too severe? Let me know in the comments. Big thank you to all the channel supporters, especially the channel patron supporters. Your support truly does help and is very appreciated. And that's all I have for you in today's report. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, please stay safe, look after each other, film the police, and of course other officials. Good night, all. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.